In this example, we're going to use base blocks to add and subtract integers. Use base blocks to perform the operations. Our first problem is negative 25 plus negative 37. We want to represent this with blocks and represent it with the algorithm. So notice that both of these numbers have the same sign, and we're adding. So we're going to look at the summary of the addition of integers, and it says when you add two numbers with the same sign, you add the absolute values of the numbers and keep the common sign of the numbers. So we're going to find the result of a similar problem, 25 plus 37, and then we're going to note that our answer is going to be negative because we're adding two negative numbers. So let's represent this with blocks. So we have 25, I'm going to use dots for the units, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 37. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now if we want to combine these amounts, we have 5 rods and 12 units. But we know that we can regroup. This is 7, so I'm going to take 3 from up here. We can regroup these 10 units as one rod. So I'm going to circle this in red and then put a rod right next to it so we know that we've replaced this with a rod. So our result is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 6 rods and 2 units. So we have a result of 62. Okay. Now how would this look with the algorithm? So I'm going to put 25 and 37. And we line them up vertically by place value. We put a line underneath them to represent that what is below is what they're equal to. And we put the sign right here. So you may remember that we start by adding in the units place. It's not necessary, it's just the algorithm we use. And we'd add 5 ones and 7 ones is 12 ones. Well, notice how that relates to our base block representation. We had a total of 12 ones. We keep 2 in the ones place, and then we carry a 1. Well, the 1 is representing the rod that we carried over into the tens place. Now we add everything in the tens place, and we have 60. So we know that 25 and 37 is 62, and our final answer, we'll put over here in green, is negative 62, because we said since we were originally adding two negative numbers that our result would be negative. And let's highlight this to draw attention to it. So that's our final result. Let's look at the next problem. 203 minus 278. So down here it says if we're given a subtraction problem, we're going to rewrite it as an addition problem. That way we can just use our addition rules. So as an addition problem, this would be 203 plus a negative 278. So now we can go to our adding rules, and it says when you're adding two numbers with different signs, find the absolute value of the number, subtract the smaller absolute value from the larger absolute value, and keep the original sign of the number with the larger absolute value. So what this means is we want to find the larger absolute value, 278, minus the smaller absolute value, 203. So this is going to be our subtraction problem. Now because the number 278 with the larger absolute value is negative, our final result is going to be negative. So we can just keep our negative ready. Now let's represent this with base blocks. So we're starting with 278. There's two flats for 200. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rods and 8 units. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we want to take away 2 flats, 0 rods, and 3 ones. So let's circle those because we're going to take those away. We're going to take away 2 flats for the 200 and 3 ones. So there's our 203 we're taking away. And everything that's not in red is going to be our final answer, our result. So we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 5 ones. So our result is 75. Now let's look at how this connects with the algorithm. When we subtract, we also line up place values and we subtract downward. So we have 8 minus 3 gave us 5. Okay. And you may have noticed here's our 8 ones. We took away 3 ones. We had 5 left over. We have 7 tens minus 0 tens will give us 7 tens. And notice we have 7 rods here, but we didn't need to take any away because 203 was our takeaway amount and there were no rods in that number. And then 2 minus 2 is 0. And notice we took away both of our flats. So that's how we would represent this with the algorithm. We said our answer was negative because 278 is negative, and the associated quantity is 75. So our result is negative 75. Let's look at the next examples. 823 minus negative 107. So first we're going to write this as an addition problem because it's set up as subtraction. And we have 823 plus positive 107. So when we're adding two numbers with the same sign, these are both positive, we add the numbers and keep the sign. So let's look at this with base blocks. We have 5, 6, 7, 8 flats for the 800, 2 rods, and 3 ones. For 107, we have 1 flat and 7 units. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now we should check for regrouping. We have a total of 9 flats, so we can't regroup those. We have 2 rods, that can't be regrouped, but we do have exactly 10 ones. So let's circle those, and we can trade in these 10 units for 1 rod. So now our result will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 flats, so 900, and 1, 2, 3 rods, and there were no units left over after we regrouped into the rod. So we have 930. Okay, and notice again this answer will be positive because these are both positive. Now let's use the algorithm to combine 823 plus 107. And let's try to connect this algorithm to our base block representation. So first we'll add the ones place. 3 plus 7 is 10 ones, and there are 10 ones, and you may remember we put a 0 here and we carry the 1. So we basically just carried our rod into the tens place. 1 plus 2 plus 0 is 3, and 8 plus 1 is 9. So we get the same result, 930. And I'll just highlight that and remember again that the answer is positive. One more question. negative 423 plus 600. So this is addition, okay? But the two numbers are different signs. So when they're different signs, we want to find the corresponding subtraction problem. So we're going to start with 600 and take away 423. So let's draw our 600. Okay, so this is 600. And now we want to take away 423. So I'm going to start by taking away 400 because that's easy. Take away 1, 2, 3, 4 flats. Now we need to take away 23, so 2 rods and 3 units. But notice we only have flats. So what we're going to do, let's use a different color, is we're going to trade in a flat for 10 rods. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now we've taken away 4 flats, we've traded a flat for 10 rods, and we have another flat. So now we can take away 2 rods. So let's circle that. And we have 8 rods and 1 flat left. But we still need to take away 3. So let's trade in one of these rods. I'm going to exit out for 10 units. I'm going to make them green. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now we'll need to take away 3. So I'm going to circle 3 that we're taking away. Okay. And this here is our result after subtracting 423 from 600. We're left with 1 flat. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rods. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units. So our result is 177. Since 600 is bigger in absolute value than negative 423, our answer is positive, and this will be our final answer. Let's look at this with an algorithm. So 600 minus 423. Okay. So you may remember this from school as well. We start with the units value, and we want to do 0 minus 3. Okay? But that would make a negative number. It's tempting to do 3 minus 0, but we really need to have 0 units, what we started with, and take away 3 units. So we use the process of borrowing. We would go to the tens place, and we would take one of the tens and make that 10 units. But notice there's no tens here. So we have to go to the hundreds place. So I'm going to borrow 100. Use a different color. I'm going to borrow 100, and 100 is 10 rods. So notice that's exactly what we did here. We crossed out a flat, and we traded that flat in for 10 rods. Okay? But we still want to get over here to the units place, but now we can borrow 1 rod from these 10 rods, and that will give us 10 units. And that's exactly what we did here. We crossed out a rod and we made 10 units. Now we can subtract. 10 minus 3 is 7 units. 9 rods minus 2 rods, or 9 tens minus 2 tens, is 7 tens. And 5 minus 4 is 1. So we get our final result of 177. And I'm double checking that that answer is positive because 600 was bigger. So we will highlight our final answer, 177.